All right, everyone, welcome to Couples Corner here on the Metal Hangout. As Sandy Grigsby and I are going to talk about things that are affecting couples, enhancing couples, or understanding the opposite sex. So Sandy is one of the rare women that I love to say who's done the work, meaning you have read the books, gone to the events, constantly invest into understanding you as a woman, but also the opposite sex.
Yes.
Because it's not an easy thing to understand.
No, it took me decades.
Yeah, men and women are coded differently. It's for sure, that's what it is. It's good to have you guys here hang out with us. Today, I wanted to talk about 20 of the most common problems faced by couples.
Really?
Yeah, and
I
put these together
Uh-oh.
because over the last couple of years, well, year and a half with you, I've noticed that either you and I have gone through it or our friends have gone through it.
Yes.
And often what we do is we communicate going, oh boy, look what they're going through. What happens if we went through that? Or you've gone through it in one of your relationships, or if I've gone through it. So we want to discuss this and find ways to go through it, understand it, so you either don't have to have it happen to you, or if you're going through it yourself, how you can correct it. Fair enough. So our first one, and I'm going to have you read it, is number one is?
Infidelity.
Okay. I'm going to start with a story.
Here we go. It's story time.
I'm Mr. Transparent. Okay, Mr. Transparent. I was not a good first husband. My first marriage, I was a horrible husband.
He really, really was. I know because I know her and she told me what a horrible husband he was.
You know my ex-wife. Actually, you guys are friends, which is cool. I had more girlfriends when I was married with her than I did when I was single. I was incredibly, I was a horrible husband. I did not put her at number one. Matter of fact, I took advantage of the relationship and I kept her more or less there because she had the kids.
Yeah.
And then I realized that having infidelity, I lied to her, of course. I lied to whomever I was with. And then I eventually totally lied to myself. I became a bullshitter at the highest level. And it happened over time where I felt bad, I felt guilty, and then I accepted it, and then I felt ways to manipulate the situation. Like, for example, any person that cheats, I realize, oh my gosh, the dryer lint tray is a place that I could get caught with my wife finding out if I have another girl. Why is that?
Because of the hairs that get caught in the tray.
Right, from my socks. So as I put my socks back on, I go wash my clothes, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, what's this black hair doing here?
Especially when she's a blonde, which she wasn't, but it would still work.
But I try to automatically start to figure out how to game it. It was horrible. And over the course of several years, I realized that I affected myself so much. So
you were living a lie.
I was living a lie, but other men love that lie.
Challenge.
It's a challenge.
It's a game.
But the infidelity, you've never been, well, you have actually, haven't you?
Well.
Did you ever cheat on a boyfriend?
No.
Did you ever cheat on a husband?
Technically, no.
Because you weren't married.
That too, and because I was already out of that relationship.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. So that's probably the thing that you could justify it is, were you out of the relationship, or were they out of the relationship, or were you both out of the relationship? You know what I mean?
I said, I'm breaking up with you, and I'm not going to change my mind. Give me 6 months to figure it out.
Okay. So you're on a break.
Yeah.
Okay. Separation.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what it was. So Gary Shiggins said, what, Gary? What's that mean? I got to take you off of mute. Hang on, let me unmute you, buddy. Because you guys can contribute to this, please. Gary, go ahead.
I'm shaking my head because my mom just called and it kicked me off the main Zoom. All I have is the little windows now. So I don't know how to get back on my main screen.
Just re-log in, okay?
All right.
Just re-log in. So let's talk about this infidelity. I believe most people have a tendency to do that early in their relationships because they have the old habits that haven't died yet. Dating multiple people. No?
No. Usually I've seen from my research and talking to people and my own experiences, people tend to have affairs and cheat when they are unhappy. So their needs are not met in the relationship. So if you're in a relationship and everything's going great, Why would you cheat? It makes no
No
sense.
sense.
So if you're in a relationship and things are wrong, you're going to look for fulfillment elsewhere.
So he,
Meaning is what you did.
Yes.
He was unhappy in his relationship,
well,
so he was looking for fulfillment elsewhere. And there are many reasons, and it can contribute both to the man and the woman.
so here's it. What I've learned, women cheat for sex, men cheat for attention. Men are like dogs. If you don't give the man enough attention, like, good job, almost praise, I hate to say it so simple, they go off and look for it somewhere else.
But the attention is part of fulfilling that need that they're looking to have
Yeah,
filled.
yeah.
And women, it's sort of the same thing. It's attention as well, even if it's for sex. If a woman feels like she's not getting the sex that she wants, she might stray. And it also depends on her background and what she thinks, her beliefs, her freedom, all of that. There's a lot that goes into it. But ultimately, it boils down to needs not being met on both ends.
Yeah, both sides. All right, that was number one, was infidelity. Number two is,
Sexual differences.
okay, how would you define this? Because I'll tell you why I wrote this down. I came from a relationship that was not standard, completely monogamous.
Yes.
And because of that, I would expect the next relationship to be like that. But as I sat back and realized what my preferences are can't necessarily be your preferences.
That's true.
And I think a lot of us think, hey, you know what? I like it this way. I'm going to teach her how to do it that way. It may not happen that way.
No. The best
Okay.
thing is to find a way that works for both of you.
Parity.
So just because you like one thing and you want your partner to do that thing doesn't mean that they love that thing, and they actually might not be enjoying it, which is causing strain on the relationship. So find that happy middle where you both enjoy it.
Okay, how about this? I don't want to say positions. I hated a certain position sexually
Yeah.
with my past. I hated it. You know what it is.
Yeah.
And it was almost every time she says, let's do that. I go, ah. But if I didn't, she would almost say, what's wrong with you? And I would get almost like chastised for it.
So that's where the communication comes into play. You should have
horrible.
communicated
I did.
how you didn't like it and you wanted to try something else to fulfill that need of hers without you having to do that
And
action.
no, Gary, it has nothing to do with a donkey or a nun or anything like that.
She
okay?
could have done it with the donkey.
Or a nun. I didn't know, not at all. The nun was okay. But how about you? Did you ever have that situation where something you didn't like and they liked, or you liked and they didn't?
Nothing too exciting
No.
that I can think of.
Sexual
I was
differences.
pretty clear on communication.
It's interesting now too, because this whole world's gone very polyamorous,
Yeah.
where everyone's saying, you know what, let's try it, let's do this. And they automatically expect their next relationship to be open-minded like that. And I don't know you, I came from an extremely conservative background. I mean, I was going to be a priest, damn it, okay? And you were pretty conservative.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, this external world, what they want, definitely isn't a world that you and I would, I don't know, just communicate when it comes to sexual preferences.
But it's also about the experimentation.
Okay.
Spice up your love life by having fun. So look into different sexual positions, read books, watch porn together, do things that allow you to add that spice. Because if you don't, things get stagnant and boring, and then one person doesn't get fulfilled, and then they stray.
What's your thought on porn?
It can be entertaining in the right place and time,
It's hard to
but not when you're on a Zoom call and all of a sudden it's like, wow, well, turn that off.
It's hard to
happening?
find porn with a
Good
plot.
story.
Yeah, there's no plot to porn. You know
Yeah.
it's going to end up as, right? Yeah, I know what's going to happen. Somebody's going to get shot somehow. That's a different story there.
That's a whole nother Zoom call. We will do a Zoom call on porn. But ultimately, porn needs better stories if you want to watch it with your lady.
By the way, on Pornhub, they do have female preferred porn, just to let you
But
know.
it's female preferred without their partner, where they're just like,
No,
what's happening?
no. There's storyline there, just to let you know, but there's not that much. It's very limited. Let's go
Not
back-
that we would know.
Let's go after values and beliefs. I was surprised by when you and I met, we both have unique political positions. We're not going to talk about them.
No.
But you right away, without saying it, you were trying to figure out what mine were right away.
Yes,
Because
I
you,
was testing him.
because you felt if I wasn't the way you are, there's no way a relationship would have worked, because you've had people with different political positions that were with you in the past, and it just created more tension.
It did create more tension. I think that when it comes to political beliefs, I have a lot of friends who are opposites and they get along beautifully until politics come up, and then there's that strain. So either you agree from the beginning that we're not going to talk about it and it's not going to be an issue, or you find someone that matches you and it's smooth.
How about religious values? Religious.
It's the same. So I dated someone from a completely different religion than myself, and it caused strain on a relationship. But I know people that have made it work.
Yeah.
Matisse and Shaheen are perfect examples.
Yeah,
They're
Jewish,
absolutely different
Arabic.
religions, and they get along beautifully.
Let me ask real quick, Gary, I'm going to pick on you real quick. We just talked about 3 things: infidelity, sexual preferences, and values. Have you guys talked about those 3 things?
We've talked about infidelity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And has she changed?
I changed it.
No, she hasn't changed.
Joking around, okay? I'm saying that because
She's
infidelity.
home.
I know. Wait, the Brazilian.
Sorry, what is your beautiful lady's name?
Natalia.
Hi, Natalia.
I
Natalia's from Brazil. Brazil.
Brasileira. Oh,
And we've talked about values also. We haven't talked about politics and religion so much.
Do you think that could be a third rail?
No, I don't think that'll be a problem.
Yeah.
We've talked. We have talked a little bit about religion. I'm agnostic, born and raised Jewish, but agnostic now. And she goes to church almost
Catholic,
every
right?
month.
Christian.
Christian.
You're Christian. So would you want Gary to do the same thing as your relationship gets more and more connected? Would you want Gary to start going to church with you?
No,
No,
I
not at all.
don't think this is the solution. No, of course not. I totally like respect, and he doesn't need to go there with me just so if you don't go there with me, it didn't work. No.
But I told her I want to go
Yeah,
just
but I
to
never
see what
told
she
you.
experiences.
Yeah.
Not that I would go regularly, but I want to check it out.
You know, I have a friend couple that she is agnostic and he is Catholic. He's from the Philippines. She's from Slovakia. So they are as far different as possible. And they made immediately in the beginning of the relationship an agreement that she would go with him to church 1 time per year, something that's important to him to support him. And the rest of the year, she didn't have to do anything church related. But the agreement was if they had a child, and they've been together for 16 years before they had a child, that he would be allowed to take his child to church. And their son now is 6 or 7, and it's worked out beautifully.
Love
And
that.
their relationship is awesome.
So just a conversation. I want to make sure that you guys do talk about values and sexual stuff because Gary likes his feet rubbed all the time.
With elbows.
Yeah, with his elbow. Yeah, that's it. Okay, this one's going to apply to Gary and myself. It's life stages.
Oh,
There is an age difference between you and I.
there is?
There is
I
an
thought
age
you were
difference.
young and youthful.
No,
like
no,
me.
no, no. There's a 12-year difference between us.
Mhm.
And I told you today we exercised. We did a fun exercise class. And
I should
told
have
her,
filmed it. It was
I
hilarious.
told her that I will always make sure I finish, and I will always be competitive against people that are half my age. I am never going to act young. I'm never going to go, oh, these pains. I'm going to make sure I'm always finding a way to fix it. I'm not going to allow myself to get old, as you aren't either, you said. Matter of fact, you always have an issue of aging, don't you?
I mean, I don't have an issue with it. I just don't like to look like I'm aging. Let's be real
But
here.
how the age difference? Does that ever bother you in some ways?
No, not at all.
Is it because I don't act my age?
I mean,
Do I act my age? No, do I?
sometimes.
How do I act my age? I don't know what a 54-year-old acts like.
Not quite the acting, it's just the movement sometimes.
Oh, really? I walk like an old guy, do I?
Sometimes.
Really?
Sometimes.
Oh, you got to tell me when I do that.
I creep your foot walking thing sometimes.
Oh, that's my right. It's always
I
been
do it
like
in a
that.
very subtle way.
It's
like-
always been like that.
It has always been.
Always
So
like
you
that.
confess you have always walked like an old
I've
man.
always walked like an old man. That I
That
guess.
it's normal and it's fine.
How about you, Gary? Are you guys? Is there an age difference between you?
There is 23 years.
23 years. And
Yeah.
what's that conversation like? How?
Well, first of all, Natalia is a fitness fanatic. She's a fitness model, and it's her life, it's her job. It's crushing her that she can't go to the gym right now. If I showed you some of the exercises she's been doing to make do, I had 2 of those 12 packs of canned soft drinks, and she used those as dumbbells. You know.
Nice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Did you pick them up real good before you drank them?
She's doing a leg press with me lying pretty much on a sofa, lifting up the end of the sofa.
That's
So
awesome. Kent did bench presses with me lying across his arms as he did the press.
I did.
Uh-huh.
you got to make do. So, you know, she's way into fitness. I do the best I can, given not just my age, but, you know, my medical troubles that I've had, which definitely limit what I can do.
And
She,
always
she understands. She's helping and understanding. She's helping with my diet, which is awesome.
Awesome.
So
and with your exercise too, because I help you with the band.
yeah.
Well, how do you then, Natalia, with that age difference, how do you make him younger? And then, Gary, how do you help her become more mature?
I think when I help him with exercise with me and go hiking and eating healthy or doing stuff like this, I think he feel like so good. It feels better.
it feels
Of
great.
course.
Obviously.
Awesome.
How do I make her feel more mature? I don't know that I need to. She's
I think
quite
you need more.
she's
than me.
mature for her age. So,
All right, let's go through it. So I'm wondering, anyone here, James, have you dated a much younger girl, and how did you work with that process? Same thing with Jason and Nick. Nick, you're young, actually. Have you dated a much older woman, maybe on your end? I'm just wondering. Let's go to Mr. Golding. What do you think? Younger, much younger?
Yes, I have.
And did it last long?
I lasted long.
No, the relationship.
Good to know.
The relationship.
Yeah, I think time and space are just a mental construct. So, listen, I got to say that actually I've had the most amazing experiences and journeys and discoveries and learning a lot with different partners. So it's not just a length of time; it's the quality and the depth. So I think if one maintains a sort of a curiosity and a sense of wonder and that sense of learning, then every situation, every person can be an incredible treasure to enjoy and experience. So that's
Right.
But yes, I love the idea of engaging my youthfulness and learning.
I know we can't see you, Nisha. Is your partner older or younger than you?
He's actually 2 years younger.
It's not that much. It's not that
No,
much.
it's not that much.
Have you
no.
ever dated anybody much older or much younger than you?
Yeah, I mean, he's actually, my partner now is the first person I've dated who's younger than me, but I've dated someone who's about maybe 10 years older than me in the past. And that was when I was 18, so that was fairly young to be dating someone 10 years old.
But she had 18 and him at 28. He was probably like 22.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, he's
yeah,
very
there wasn't
mature.
there
Pretty
wasn't a huge issue. No, I got it. And then Nick, how old are you, Nick?
I'm 26.
Have you ever dated an older woman?
No older woman. No younger.
Or for a treat.
Yeah.
And,
At your age, you might want to try it. Just a suggestion, okay?
well, I did. I had a one night.
No, that's not a relationship.
So it's not dating.
No, that would be like one of the porn movies we
Well, the
watch.
first question is, are you in a relationship now?
No, single.
Good.
Okay.
No, that's good that he's watching this then.
Yeah, excellent.
Actually, good. You're working.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in and see all the different things throughout the week. First starting out. So I saw this and I was like, I have some time. Might as well jump in.
Is it fun?
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's a very interesting conversation.
I'd like to just say that at 26, if you choose to date an older woman for a short amount of time, your mind will be blown because they know things that 26-year-old women don't know.
It would be like when Luke Skywalker met Yoda. I'm just saying, okay? The stuff you'll learn will be amazing.
Okay.
How about you,
Maybe I'll.
Jason?
I was recently in a relationship of 10 years difference, and she had a daughter. Yeah, and the one before that was 8 years, my ex-girlfriend. And now that I'm single and I'm going out and meeting older ladies my age, maybe a little younger as well, I tend to like younger, except honestly at 41, I can't keep up with them.
What?
Like I can't like sexually keep up with them. Like I like it, it's fun, it's great, but like I just physically I get
That could
tired.
be diet, and and there are things, vitamins and things you can take to enhance that.
Okay.
Let's
Yeah,
have a conversation with that.
Yeah.
I recently got back on my keto diet, but one thing I think Sandy, you guys said it perfectly with Nick, is when you start dating, and now that I'm dating older women or women my age, it is a lot more fun and a lot more enjoyable because we understand each other's bodies more, and it's awesome.
Yeah. The thing is,
Oh.
younger women will experiment and they'll do things, but they're young and they haven't had the experience. And a lot of them tend to be very shy. So some of them will be open and like, ah, but other ones will be a little on the conservative because they're not quite sure. They don't want to get pregnant. They don't want to get diseases. They don't want to do all this stuff. So they're on the conservative shy stage. And once women hit like 35, 40, 45, they get their bodies. They know how to prevent diseases. They're more like, I got this. And they're more open. It just happens.
I guess. I guess. How about you, Stephen?
I have never dated a woman older than 30.
And you're 48?
69?
Wow. Okay. All right. That's cool.
I mean,
All right,
they get older than 30 after I start going out with them, but I've
So
start. They're only
Is
30.
he trying to be Leonardo DiCaprio?
yes, he is.
Mhm.
Just don't get a Leonardo dad bod. Let's go to number 5. This one's a topic because it's come up a little in our relationship, more in our past, and that's a traumatic situation. When my mother died, super traumatic. When your dog passed away, was very traumatic.
Oh, that was,
Handling a traumatic situation, you have to be in that relationship and be with that person. It's a lot easier to say, fine, you deal with it and push away. And that's probably the worst thing you could do. You have to be a participatory individual of that situation and feel it too. You have to have the empathy, not sympathy, but the empathy through that process.
yeah. And you also have to understand that people don't process the same as you do. So for example, if someone passes away and you're the kind of person that can get over it very quickly, that doesn't mean that your partner can.
So true.
So to project your feelings of frustration and, okay, get over it already, is not the best way to handle the situation.
Yeah, because I get over things like that, okay? When something happens, I deal with it, a traumatic situation, and move forward. You process it differently, and you look at it from multiple angles where I don't.
Mhm.
I go through it, and I don't even look back. You want to process it and learn from it. I just want to get past it. So this is why we work well together, because the way we look at situations differently. But as a team, it allows us to actually not make the same mistakes as we move forward.
Yeah, but it was nice, like when my dog died, that was very traumatic for me. The dog was 13 and a half, should have lived till 18, had a trachea issue that killed her prematurely. And Ken was very supportive, and I was having a very hard time getting over it. He expressed that he would have gotten over it faster, but he didn't judge me for pretty much wallowing in it.
Yeah.
But I needed that. I
You
needed
needed
that
it.
time and that support. So thank you, baby.
Oh, no problem. These are common problems faced by couples. Next one is stress. Hello today. Hello today is what this is. So stress, we handle differently. Us guys, sex. It's a stress relief. Look at Jason. Gary wants to shake not just his head, but his whole body. Yes. Yes, it is definitely for us guys.
For women, it can be as well.
eh,
It can be.
Yeah.
It just depends on the type of stress.
I want you to have more stress then. But I'm saying it's often it's a stress relief. But what do you do when you're stressed? You know what I do? I nap. It's like, oh, I gotta sleep. I process when I'm
Yeah.
sleeping. What do you do when you're stressed out?
I clean.
Do you really?
Yeah.
You-
Yeah, I
you-
start organizing.
You must not be too stressed right now.
No. I hope you get more stressed and start to clean and nap.
Well, that's it. I think we all handle. Hi, Gary. How do you handle stress?
You know, exercise.
Exercise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exercise too. Yeah, exercise really. Natalia, how do you do it?
Or sleep.
How do you handle
Actually-
stress?
Exercise.
Exercise, right? You got to sweat, right? Get it out.
I can't sleep, or I can like clean my house, organize my stuff. I can put a lot of focus doing stuff like this, but exercise, yes, I can.
Nisha, how do you do it? How do you deal with your stress? You're in a very stressful career where you're at. How do you deal with it?
Look, I mean, a few different ways. I talk to my mum. I know it sounds really lame, but I talk to my mum and she helps quite a bit with that. Exercise for sure. I paint. That helps me.
That's good. I like that. She gets creative.
Nisha, how does your boyfriend do it?
He reads a lot and he gets really quiet, so he needs to process. He doesn't like talking when he gets stressed, and he's introverted, whereas I'm a bit more extroverted. So he kind of goes into himself, exercises, reads, that kind of stuff.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, knowing your partner's stress coping mechanism is really important because it allows you to maneuver around them better. So I know if Ken's starting to take a nap in the middle of the day and he doesn't normally do it, then he's hyper stressed. And then I'm more mindful of the things that I do and say around him.
Okay. Oh, look at who's joining us, the 43 or 47 or 43 years. 43 years. 43 years. That's right, couple. I love it. All right. Our next topic, by the way, these are 20 of the most common problems faced by couples is what we're going through. Number 7's interesting, especially right now, is boredom.
Oh, yeah.
So dealing with boredom. I'm so hypersensitive to you being bored. I talk too much.
It's okay. I'm used to it. I like it. So it works for me.
I do, like, even yesterday when we were running. So every night we do this awesome 3-mile run.
That's how it goes.
We do this 3-mile run where we run up for 30 seconds and then walk for 60 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And then we run again. And 3 miles go like that. And I feel like we have to be talking the whole way because I'm thinking, oh no, she's getting bored.
And then he does it when we're going up the steepest hill, and then I'm like,
I still want to talk.
And he's like, blah, 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 blah,
I know that's wrong. I know that's wrong. So let me ask you then, in more of a therapeutic sense.
Yeah.
How do I know you're bored so I can make sure I step in? Because that's my biggest concern. I don't want you to be bored of me.
You know, that's a tough one because it's very difficult for me to get bored. I have a lot of activities. I keep myself busy. You know when I'm bored, when I am sitting on you going,
Okay. How about in the car when
what
you're
are you
driving?
watching? Then I'm bored.
How about when we're in the car driving somewhere? Are you?
Yeah, I'm never bored in the car.
You're not.
Yeah, because I sleep.
That's a good point. You do sleep. I love driving in the car and just putting on like a podcast or a show and listening. I'm thinking you're not going to like it. Oh no.
No, he's so cute. We're in the car and he's bored and he wants to listen to something.
I always want to
I'm already asleep. Motion, I'm out.
It's awesome.
And he's like turning down the music.
Motion in the
trying to
car,
keep it
everyone.
quiet.
Motion in the car. Okay.
Motion in the car.
Yeah. Don't.
Or on planes, trains,
Yeah.
any.
Engine.
Yeah.
Engine.
Not your engine though.
Jeffrey, what do you do when
Same.
what happens when do you guys get bored? You guys are married 43 years. Do you ever get bored of each other?
Correct me.
Yes.
47 years.
47 years. That's right. 47. You get bored of each other sometimes. What do you do when you get bored of each other?
His wing, her wing.
Yours, dear. What do you do when you get bored, dear?
Well, there's always things to do. You know, you don't always have to be doing things together. So I have projects to work on or.
So you just walk away when you're bored? You just kind of go away and going, all right, I'm bored of you. You don't say it, but you just kind of move to another room.
Well, go do something different. I mean,
Or change the conversation to something different. Just
yeah.
completely change the whole thing you're doing.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so boredom is something I think we need to figure out over and over again. Here's our next one, jealousy. Okay.
Ooh, jealousy is never good.
Yeah, but jealousy is interesting because I don't get jealous of another guy checking you out or you spending time with anyone of either they're your girlfriends or if it's a guy friend. I get jealous of something taking time away from us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I get jealous of your work.
Yes.
I'll get jealous of something that you are in that I wish we were sharing time with. You're doing. If it's another person, I think I feel confident in who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I could not just compete, I'll dominate. But when it comes to something like work, I can't compete with that because that's going to either pay your bills or it's going to do something like that. So I get jealous of that.
Mm-hmm.
And jealousy, how do you describe jealousy? Because I know a lot of guys get jealous of their girlfriends because they look, we watch this TV show 90 Day Fiance, which we're hooked on, right?
Yeah.
And it was a Mormon couple, and he was really jealous of how beautiful his fiance was.
Yeah.
And he would act almost like,
I don't want her to be a model.
he wasn't fixing himself. He was
Yeah.
trying to cover her up, which really didn't make him a better person.
So I truly believe that jealousy stems with you. So whatever you're feeling jealous about, it's something within you. It has nothing to do with your partner.
Mm.
So if you are upset because your partner is talking to someone else, and obviously if they are blatantly flirting and you have relationship issues and they're cheating on you, that's something else.
Right.
But if they're just having a conversation with someone else and you're jealous, or they're hanging out with their friends and you're jealous, or they're watching you do something that makes them uncomfortable and jealous, it's genuinely something internal for them.
Yeah.
So when you're feeling jealousy, you need to stop and take a look at what's going on within you and why is this a trigger for you?
Because it may have been something in your past.
Yeah.
And you're concerned it's going to happen again, and automatically those past emotions consume the current relationship.
Yes, and we were actually talking about this in a past call about how triggers can make you feel a certain way and can bring up a lot of issues in your relationships. So when you have a trigger, it's important to stop and figure out what is it and process it. So sometimes Ken will do something that completely pisses me off, and I have to, before saying something to him, I have to think and go, okay, did he really do something that pissed me off? Or am I being triggered right now? And if I'm being triggered right now, what is this and how can I deal with this? So I prefer to have that time to pause and process and understand if I'm really mad at him or if I'm just dealing with something that I haven't dealt with.
Gary, and you guys are in a new relationship. How do you deal with jealousy? You have a beautiful woman there, Gary. She's a trainer. She's going to deal with clients. Do you get jealous in that situation?
Well, it is a new relationship. We started seeing each other maybe a few weeks, maybe a month, right around Valentine's Day. So just shortly before the lockdown. So we haven't experienced too much of us having our separate lives, social lives, whatever, work. So that hasn't really arisen yet. Hopefully it won't arise.
We never had a problem with this yet.
No.
With jealousy.
I'm not a jealous person. You know, I've gone through all sorts of relationships, marriage that ended badly with infidelity, and you know, I've come to the realization that, you know, people do whatever they're going to do, and you can't control it. And if you're going to be jealous, it's only going to push them away more.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. You
Here's
just need
something.
to be comfortable and confident in your relationship and secure.
Let's see. Are you going away? Is that where you're going now, Nick? You're going to leave us? Nick's leaving us. He had to go. All right. How about this one? I'm going to, number 9. God, we have 20 and we're only at number 9. Trying to change each other. Wasn't the old saying is when you meet, a man meets the woman, he goes, I want her to never change.
Yes.
And when the woman meets the man, he goes, I can't
I'm
wait
gonna
to
change
change everything about him, right? I mean, there's like that whole situation. How
All
do
the
you,
girls laugh because they're like, yeah, those shoes, they're going to go.
I have to admit, in our relationship, we both have changed towards each other.
Yes, that's true.
Towards each other.
Yes.
So I made sure, I said, I'm going to drop my walls, and if I'm doing something wrong, I'm trainable. I always would say, Sandy, I'm trainable. I'm trainable. And you've been very patient because coming out of a long-term relationship, 15 years, I have bad habits.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been really good at identifying, but talking to me about them as opposed to ridiculing me. But that takes a lot on you to have patience to do that. And I think what happens is, especially what's the old dog, new tricks, I think all of us guys, if we're willing and open, we can change for the relationship.
As can women.
but for the relationship. This is important because if I go, Sandy, you know what? I want you to have this. I want you to change this. I want you to do this. That's for me. That's not for the relationship.
Yeah.
And there's a difference. And I think many of us confuse the difference between the relationship and ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense in what I'm saying, everyone? So that's the first thing. I think it's very shallow because most, especially where we live here in LA, I apologize if you live outside LA, it's a very surface-oriented environment. So you want someone to always maintain the surface awesome side of things, which doesn't always happen. It can't always happen.
Mm-mm.
So, and the other thing is the facade, where I want us to always look like we have money or a perfect couple or whatever. That's not realistic either.
Mm-mm.
So the idea of changing, you have to change for the relationship, not change for the person.
I think that's a really important thing to work on in your relationships. And stop trying to change the other person, because changing someone, there's a difference between changing someone and educating someone.
Yeah.
So if someone's doing something that really drives you nuts because they're doing it the wrong way, then instead of trying to change them and make them do it your way, have them understand why you prefer it this way and give them the option to choose.
Can I ask a favor? We have two
So
couples here right now.
education.
We got two couples, actually, three of us. Can we just give each other a big hug real quick?
It's a huggy time. I love her.
Can we give each other? Come on, Natalia, get in there, get in there.
I like James's hug,
Okay,
it's
look at
good.
James's hug.
James and Jason should hug. David,
Get up here there, man.
get in there with Steven.
Yeah.
Steven Harms really needs a hug.
Yeah.
Nisha, find your boyfriend.
Yeah, go ahead, give it a hug. All right, we are now going into number 10, communication problems. Boy, this communication one. I've learned to communicate over a long time. Women and men communicate differently,
Totally different.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
So what I've learned is, Sandy, do you want me to fix it or do you want me to listen?
Oh, that's so valuable. Most of the time, women just want you to listen. They just need a sounding
We
board.
talked about this last week.
But women make the mistake of thinking that their partners are a sounding board for all of their problems, which
Yeah.
is not the case. So when I want to vent or gossip or do girl talk, I don't call Ken because he doesn't want to hear it. He's going to dump into his giant trash bag and be annoyed. So I call my girlfriends and go, oh my God, do you know what so-and-so just did? I can't even believe it. She like totally screwed up today. And I don't dump that on Ken.
So
And he loves that I don't dump that on him, don't you, baby?
Mike Nichols, I wish he was here. He would always say, starve the noise.
Yes.
He would always, if his wife comes up to him and wants to say something, he goes, honey, starve the noise. I don't want to hear it. Leave me alone. And literally, unless it's good news only good news, then he wants to hear it. Otherwise, it's noise.
So one of the best tools for you guys to take in your woman's noise
Oh, I hear
is
this.
to mentally, when she comes in and she just wants to vent and talk, and you're not supposed to fix it because that's all she's doing. She's dumping on you. Women do that. That's just in our nature. What you do is you mentally open up a giant black trash bag. That's it. And you hold space. So it's like, imagine the trash bag is open. I'm holding space. Okay, honey. And in your mind, you're going to give her an allocated amount of time. So 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever works best. Sometimes they need more time, sometimes they need less. So let's just say the magic number is 10 minutes.
Got it.
For 10 minutes, you're opening your trash bag. You're going to let her dump all that into the trash bag. Oh, yeah. Oh, don't give your advice. Don't give your input. Don't try to fix it. Just let her. And at the end, go, I hear you.
Yeah. Okay, what do you do now?
That's all you need to do.
Is that-
And she's going to be done. And
Only
she's
10
going to
minutes?
go,
Oh. And then I'm going to be stressed and we're going to have to
no,
have sex.
then you're
No,
not
it's
going to be
sex.
stressed because then
Oh.
you empty the trash bag like
I'm
on your
joking.
computer. Crunch.
I'm joking.
I know you were. Yes, yes, baby, I know. So that's all you have to do. It's really easy.
Okay, there we go.
That's fantastic advice. Thank you so much. Because yesterday I had a situation with a girlfriend of mine who called me at midday. I was in the middle of like really getting on with my work and focusing, and she needed some attention and support on something. And I just said, I can't do that right now. I need to work. She didn't really want to respect that. She needed the attention. And then literally sort of got off on the phone, really, hung up on me. And then I realized that if I'd given 10 minutes of focus, that would have avoided hours and hours of kind of like, bad sort of energy coming between us, and a sort of like a sense of now she doesn't want to talk to me ever again.
Oh.
And so, it's kind of like one has to be wise about what's needed at the moment. But I think that's a wonderful vehicle and weapon to have in one's armory. Thank you very much. I will never forget the trash bag.
Sandy, thank you for teaching us all the international hand sign for big black trash bag. I always wondered, now if I'm in France and I need a big black trash bag, I know what to do. I've always, it's been a problem when I've traveled the world.
Very welcome, David.
Yeah, on this communication thing, what kinds of things do you feel more comfortable communicating to your guy friends than as opposed to Sandy?
Oh, it's easy. I don't put filters on with guys. I'll just say, you smell, you look bad, fix your hair. Because I want it the same way. I don't want to have to go through the steps to get to what really needs to be fixed. Just say it right away. It's as if the doctor says, all right, let me tell you. No, just tell me, do I have cancer? Yes or no? Oh, I do. Great. Now let's fix it. Where with a woman, I have to go and check the emotional situation of right now. If she's busy, am I about to give her some information that could actually hinder her performance of whatever's next for her?
Right.
So there's much more to weigh with a woman because there's more going on. They multitask 10 times better than us, but once you throw more stress or something on it, they'll divert and they'll be angry with you because you've taken them down a path that they didn't want to go down.
It's that emotional spiral.
If you're dealing with stuff emotionally or career-wise, etc., would you rather open up to her or to one of your guy friends?
I believe, well, it depends. The relationship we have, it's great. But I would also say some of my garbage shouldn't be hers. I'd rather go to the guys and share things with it. Like, for example, if I have a man issue, God, my left nut hurts really bad. Do I need to tell her? No, hey, Gary.
She'll find out anyway.
Gary, my left nut hurts. Is it my age? What do you think? And I'll talk to Gary, and Gary will give me some insight. I'd rather talk to the guys that have experienced it. I don't want to go to her, right? And my left nut's fine, by the way, Gary.
I'm sort of the same way, but just one question about communication. I know you guys have a list of things you're moving through.
Oh, we're good.
The myth is, or the story is, or the common wisdom is, that women are communicative and men withhold, don't know their own feelings, and are much tighter wound and more withheld, or maybe just clueless about what they're going through. My experience is, my own personal experience is that guys are much better about communicating than women. When I'm going to communicate something sensitive, I have to go through all those mental steps, Ken, that you just said, like, how am I going to communicate this so she doesn't freak out, or doesn't get withdrawn, or doesn't get depressed, or doesn't get angry? I mean, the obvious one is if there's a sensitive situation to talk about, don't talk about it while it's happening. Talk about it in a neutral time 3 days later when you're both having a good time and it's unrelated to the situation. So that's one thing. But even still, I find guys can communicate more openly and, as you said, can give and take shit or honesty.
But we do have a unique community, David. Let's be realistic. We've really come up over the last several years. You've been part of Metal for about 5 years, 6
Even
years.
Longer, I hate to say.
Oh, have you? But
yeah, I think it's been about 7.
Look how blatant we've all become, in a good way.
Yeah.
Man, we got to lose weight. We're all fat asses. I mean, it's nice that we could say that. You say in a group of women, the energy level will go from here to the bottom. With us guys, yeah. Okay, what's next?
Yeah, but that mental style of communicating, I've always had with my friends. Now, maybe it's because I'm in the entertainment. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can remember, I'm a little bit older,
Very fortunate.
Went through that whole that explosion of communication when I was younger. I grew up, there were encounter groups and all sorts of stuff. We grew up with this stuff. So people like me. For me, it was not a new thing, but I guess for a lot of guys it is.
You're a great communicator too. Hey, by the way, I just noticed something. Can we identify something real quick? I'm noticing we have 2 couples on the screen. Have you noticed body language between the 2 of them? Our 47-year-old couple are like connected. They're touching each other. Look at them. The younger couple are not even touching. Gary, you guys are not even touching any part of your skin or body or anything. What's going on up there?
We did some touching earlier.
Yeah. So now you got social distance.
I want to see the videos to know the proof, man. I don't believe without video it doesn't exist.
Oh, got to touch. We're touching each other down below. You can't see our hands are touching. Okay. Let's go with And that leads into number 11, which is
Lack of attention. Yeah, that's a big one.
I need to be touched all the time.
It goes down to love languages.
Yeah, touch is one of my love languages.
That's why I'm touching you right now with my leg.
I know.
Can't see it, but it's happening.
Yeah, love languages are important. Affirmation is one of yours.
Words of affirmation, yeah.
Really important. Neither one of us are in the language of gifts. We don't need to give anything. We like experiences more than anything.
But acts of service for me.
Acts of service, absolutely. So if I clean the kitchen or do all that, you feel like, oh, thank you so much. So we concentrate on that. And I think if we look at the idea of attention, what kind of attention do you want? When I'm talking to you, or especially when you're talking to me, put down your phone.
It's presence.
Look at me.
It goes down to presence.
Yeah, presence.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's a younger generation. My ex likes loud music and go to a club and talk. I can't talk like that. And in an environment where we're having a disagreement, she would still have all those things on. I want to focus. I felt like the lack of attention was gone. And I think that's where one of our communication points were. You and I, let's turn everything off. Let's talk. And I like presence. Great point. Presence.
Presence is valuable. One of the greatest tools you have in your relationships arsenal.
And here's another thing real quick on attention also is time. You've gotten really good on how to communicate with me when we're in a debate or let's say an argument. You know, if you're more than a minute of saying something, you've lost me.
Yeah.
Where before you would go on and on and on, and I would want to find a gun and just stick it in my mouth and go away. I think that women and men need to know that there is so much time until you have oversaid it.
Yes. Also, it's how each other understand what we're saying. So when I get people going, okay, my wife is mad at me, what do I do? You have to speak to her in her language as a guy.
Yeah.
So women speak in terms of feelings. Guys speak in terms of fact. So an example would be, if I said something to Ken that disrespected him and he was upset about it, he would say to me, Sandy, you just disrespected me. And I don't like that you said X, Y, and Z. But as a woman, we hear, you feel your feelings were hurt. I hurt your feelings. So I would respond, if I were not one who had done the work, oh, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. And then he would get all upset because you didn't hurt his feelings, you disrespected him. He's factual about these things. So since I understand this communication between men and women, when I speak to Ken now, I will use his verbiage and say, Ken, I'm sorry I disrespected you with what I said.
Yep.
I had no intention to do that.
Yep.
I'm sorry, and I'll apologize. So he understands that I got him, as opposed to talking about his feelings, and vice versa. So if Ken makes me upset, I'll tell him, you really hurt my feelings. That really hurt what you said. And if he goes and says, well, I'm sorry I disrespected you in return,
Nope.
I wasn't disrespected. You hurt my feelings.
Yep.
So it's about understanding the language for each person and speaking to them in their language.
We only have about 10 minutes. I'm going to race through these. 12 is financial issues. This is when we got into a relationship, all my fortune was taken away from me. And I had a good fortune. And you were so understanding, saying, let me help build that up, as opposed to saying, no, you know what?
I'm going to go after your rich friend.
Yeah, once you make it again and then call me, you said, you know what, I'm going to build. And that, in my mind, showed a stronger bond where you're not in it for the wealth I had, but what we can build together.
Exactly.
But many people are going through financial crisis right now. This has got to be one of the biggest breakups for many people too.
Yeah, you'll see the truth of someone's relationship based off of where you are and the hardship of your life.
Yeah.
So if things are really hard and your partner sticks with you, they are a catch. If they jump ship very quickly, you're glad they jumped ship then instead of later.
I think 11 and 13, lack of attention, lack of appreciation, kind of close. So let's move on. 14 is technology and social media. This, to me, is a train wreck for many, especially the ones that want to be Instagrammable all the time. You used to be like this.
Yes.
Everything was an Instagram moment. Even when we would travel, it's like, all right, but I was okay with it actually, because I like taking pictures.
Yeah.
And taking pictures of you are great, but it could have gotten bad.
Well, I did it as a test strategy time. Like I wanted to see if it's going to work and how this can work. But I realized that it wasn't working for me and it wasn't part of my lifestyle that I wanted to maintain.
So also in my past relationships, including myself, I would put everything on social media. I would ask, man, this is really messed up. Is she wrong? Yes or no? Horrible idea.
Horrible idea.
Get the world to be a consensus is not the way to move forward. No.
Especially since most people don't know what really happened. The
God, no.
backstory, they have your one-sided opinion and they're going to give advice that might not make your
Yeah,
partner
hey,
happy.
I just got 422 likes that you were wrong. Oh, yeah. Great. That's going to move the relationship forward. Let's go to 15, trust issues. Women want one thing, guys. One thing, security. You give them security, trust is there. It's part of it. It's a built-in factor. If the woman does not feel secure, trust is out the door.
Yeah.
They will not trust anything.
Yeah, if she feels insecure, like you're cheating on you,
Or
on her,
or not paying
she's
attention.
not going to trust you.
Yeah.
If she feels like you're not listening to her and she's not being seen or heard, she's not going to trust you. And vice versa.
Yep. Selfish behaviors. Me, I. My dad would always call it I problems. You've got I problems. I. If it's not us or we, this is where it gets to be a problem. I know in other relationships, I always wanted to please her. And by doing that, maybe she would love me. That became a one-sided relationship.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? So when you plan something, it's about us. Like tomorrow, I like to go see the poppies.
I want to go see the puppy.
Right? So tomorrow.
Today we both eyed each other into a wee.
Yeah. Okay.
Aw,
I think it'd be great if we both can do that,
we
right?
should.
So that would be a we thing. But if just myself wants to see the poppies, you go, but you'll go, okay, that's an I thing. But we have to have give and take also.
But
also.
if you want to go see the puppies and I don't, but I want to get a soft serve ice cream after and you don't, we can work something out.
We went to McDonald's the other way, everyone. They have really good ice cream, just to say.
Just saying.
All right, anger issues. You're not bad. Okay, it's so interesting. You heard these stereotypes where someone says, "Oh, she's Mexican and she's gonna have this hot side." Okay,
Hot-blooded.
my ex was vindictive, and there's actually a term called, the word is berserk. Berserk, you've heard it. It's an Indonesian term.
She happened to be Indonesian. I'm
A
just saying.
woman going crazy in the menopause stage. Berserk. And mine became insanely vindictive towards me too.
Yeah.
So it wasn't anger slow, it was anger like later on. It was like, whoa, what
Like
did
a
you just
flash
do?
pan fire.
Horrible. But I know a lot of guys too where they just rip on their girls because they're angry and they say something that hurts.
But again, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It is internal to them.
Yeah.
So if you have anger issues, it doesn't matter what your partner did. It's something within you that you have to deal with that they might be triggering you.
We got 3 left.
Yeah.
Keeping score. You get that one?
Yeah.
Right? I love that you get this
You
one.
did it all the time. You did it last week. You did it the week before. You did it when your friend called. You did it.
Or the other way around is very mafia. The mafia is, I did that favor for you. I remember I did that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you gotta, I'll do this for you, but you're gonna have to come back to me. Where you literally create actions. You know, I did all these things. I cleaned the house. I did this. I've been keeping track. No, don't do that. It throws in the same bucket.
Yeah,
It's done.
Never good. Never good. It says
Number 9. Hello.
19?
I'm number 19. It is.
Lying.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about in the bed.
We got a couple different forms of lying. We have one form of
Omission?
lying. Yes, that's the one I want to bring up.
Oh.
By not saying it. Lying through omission is so bad, and I think we do it all so often to prevent the other person from feeling it, not going through it. Lying through omission is a form of lying, period.
It is.
Okay? And just lying. One of the things that we did right away, I was a liar in my past relationship, not my last, but before. So I knew my traits. My traits were I would hide things, and hiding means I was lying. So right away, I don't believe in passwords.
Mm-hmm.
All of our passwords for all of our social media, everything is always there for full accountability for everything. I don't want to lie to anything. I want you to always know. Because what happens is if someone comes up to you and says, "Oh, I heard this about Ken," and you go, "What the hell? What?" I never want that to happen because it makes you feel bad too. It puts you in a bad place. So lying. You want to contribute to any of that?
It's just, when you lie to others, you're lying to yourself.
There you go.
Isn't that like some slogan on a bus?
Or on a tea bag. Our last one, and I kept it somewhat large. You could interpret it any way you want, and that's unrealistic expectations.
Oh yeah, unrealistic.
Well,
People live there.
Well, they do. And I think it really affects the relationship because then you become bitter towards the relationship because it didn't turn out the way you wanted it to become.
And it also contributes to people trying to change each other.
Yeah, this goes right back to that.
Yeah.
So unrealistic is, damn, we still live in this house. Oh my God, you still drive that piece of shit car. Oh my God, you got that
he still
belly on
hasn't
you.
proposed.
You got that belly on you. You got all these things that I think if we go back to communication and really creating a heart-centered, driven relationship, all that stuff gets fixed and expectations become mutual.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. 47 years. Look at their arms around a woman. Look at
they're
that.
so
Look at
cute.
that. It's awesome. It is. Guys, I love seeing that. I do. So, Gary Vitalia, how do you, by the way, it looks like some skin's kind of touching.
It's working.
You're coming a little closer. In an early relationship, we touched upon a lot of things. Anything sticking out that you guys want to identify or address?
I joined late, so I missed the first half.
No, we're going to go to Gary real quick.
Okay.
Anything you want to touch upon?
Mm,
No?
David, they're in a new relationship. That's what.
Yeah, they've been together about a month and a half.
more than that, but
Okay.
yeah.
Anything you want to touch upon, Gary? Which one do you think you're going to fall prey to that you have to fix? Unexpected relationships, keeping score, being jealous, boredom, stress. Which one's going to be one of your potential problems that you're going to have to go after right away? Weird sexual positions?
No. I think we're doing pretty well, actually.
Yeah? Well,
Yeah.
I know you're saying that. How about your partner?
She's like, oh boy.
What are you going to say? Come on. What's your thought?
Nothing.
Well, if you give the relationship a 10 being the best and 1 being you're out of here, where's your relationship right now?
A little bit high, low.
It's
Like
low.
Low.
Low. So it's not a 10 like, yeah, it needs a lot of work, right?
The problem is, yes, for me, but it's not for him. So it is a huge difference.
So Gary thinks the relationship's going good and you don't think it's going good. You definitely have to have parity on that. And that's where you have to have better discussions.
What's the thing that bothers you the most?
A lot of things.
Just pick one.
I think liar. Don't be like a loyal and honest person. Things like this. For me, this is like the minimum in a person. It's like it's something that I never need to expect for someone, because for me this is just the minimum.
Yeah. And then Gary, how can you make her feel more secure and make her feel like she can trust you?
Transparency, honesty.
And by the way, Gary,
asking her how I can make her feel more secure. And
Gary, I think also you're older. You brought that up. I think you just need to learn to communicate differently. It's not that you aren't those things, because I know I know you're a good guy. I know that. I'm not just saying that because you're my buddy, but I know your heart. And I think that the age difference means you have to change the way you communicate to give her the tools to say, yeah, I see it. I believe it. Because if you were dating a woman your age, God forbid, right, Gary? You could never imagine that.
I could even find one my age.
You would probably communicate differently with them. And I think that that's what you have to, Gary, you have to learn how to just basically change the way you show and you show up because of the age. That's it. And it's not a negative, it's a positive.
And Gary, why do you feel like you may be withholding information from her? Are you afraid of a reaction from her? Are you afraid of a situation arising? What is the underlying reason for that?
Initially, when we first started dating, yeah, I was afraid of a reaction from her not understanding. Like, if, you know, now I thought we're beyond that. Maybe not, but I thought we were.
Well, isn't this great? We have time to work it out. We got time to work it out. I want to thank all you guys for hanging out with us. This is every Tuesday. This is fun. I hope it was it good, Jason? You loved it.
Thanks again, Ken, Sandy, great.
Yeah.
We do a lot of cool things on remotely, and this is by far one of my top favorites. This is because it's seeing you two connect is something that we want to replicate in our own lives, because I forgot who I was talking to recently about you two in particular. Like, oh, it's Justin Holt, like how you two show us what a relationship should be. And seeing you two do this, it's really, we can really ingest it and project it onto our loved ones.
Thank you.
Just to be a little selfish, I actually think it's good for us too, because we talk these things out and then we'll talk about it later on. So it's good for us also. We're not just doing it for you guys, we're doing it for us too. It's therapy.
And you practice what you preach. So when we talk about it, we're actively doing it. So we'll say little things, and then after we'll get off the call and go, we need to do more of that.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I had mentioned on a call somewhere else was that I want to have more joy and more playfulness. And Ken and I have been actively working on that. So we go on runs together and we go to the beach. The other day we walked through Venice and we deliberately went into the path of cops because it was so much fun. We wanted to see what was going to happen. Like little things like that. So just incorporate joy and playfulness. Gary, Natalia, maybe you two need to do something that's a little bit risky and playful to sort of bring you two back together.
Yeah. Adventure.
Create some excitement.
But everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with us. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thanks, Ken.
Bye,
Sandy.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.